Really appreciate everyone's time and joining us this afternoon. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday, starting out December and wrapping up 2017 and rolling into 2018 successfully and doing very well. So we wanted to give a quick little overview. We're here to present our Managed Infrastructure and Access for Identity and Access Management program. And on the line we have Rob Rawson, who's CIS's Chief Identity and Access Officer, and myself, Terry McBride. I'm an Identity and Access Sales Exec here at the company. Rob is the founder of CIS's Identity Practice, and we'll get into some of the history of that. Really quickly, we just want to take a quick look at the agenda slide coming up.
There you go.
Okay, so obviously very quick agenda here. We'll do a quick little 1-2 about who CIS is and what our expertise is, and then I'm going to hand off to Rob, and he's going to take you guys through a quick overview on identity as a concept, the marketplace, what we provide in the managed services space, as well as an overview of the CIS team and their expertise, and then we're going to get into the specifics of the 4 different areas of our managed offering for identity. Next slide. So who is CIS? Who is Computer Integrated Services? Quick little overview on this. I'm not going to take too much time, but we've got a tremendous amount of experience. As you can see, we were established in 1995, and we're headquartered out of New York City, but we do have resources and we do work projects all across the country. We were founded as an organization that focused a lot on ongoing support, and we very quickly became a full-scale integration company, doing large-scale projects in the Novell space in a legacy position, as well as in the Microsoft space. So we have tremendous infrastructure support teams and infrastructure project execution teams. And then in 2015, to round off our service offering and to create a more predictable and manageable paradigm for our clients, we acquired 2 existing managed services organizations, and that basically built the platform from which we were able to launch our managed services for identity, which is what we're here to talk about today. As you can see, we mentioned specifically IAM resources positioned around the U.S. and Canada, but we do have that in some of our other project areas as well. We like to position teams of resources around the country so that we're a little bit nimble so that we can get to projects without creating any cost overheads and do some tremendous work outside of the New York metro area where we're headquartered. Next slide, please. So quick little look at our mission statement. We are here to become a world-class technology advisor for our clients. We're all about mutually beneficial relationships. The best way to do business with somebody is if you succeed together and you grow and prosper together. The most important part of this slide to me, and you'll see it splashed all over our marketing and in our emails and on the back of our business cards, it's what we live and breathe every day at CIS. It's all about the client, and that is our focus. That is what we do, and that's how we make decisions at our company. Next slide, please. Some of the folks who work with CIS, who rely on us to be their trusted technology advisor in identity and in some of the other areas that we'll cover in just a moment. You can see we have numerous very high-profile organizations that are clients, from Major League Baseball to NASDAQ to W.L. Gore to a number of municipal governments, to public utilities and banking organizations. So we have clients that are very high profile and very splashy for a logo page. We have clients that are companies you may never have heard of that do very important work and have very large user bases. And we have ongoing managed services clients that are very small. So we work with companies of all shapes and sizes across all of our business units, but we really, in the identity space, have a very strong focus across all vertical markets, as you can see, toward the high profile, large enterprise space. Next slide, please. So just really quickly to cover a little bit of other things that CIS does in addition to our identity and access space. We are very, very strong, as I mentioned a couple times, in managed services. We have specifically program tiered support for augmenting an existing team's support for an environment or completely running an environment for a client. We provide remote help desk and really provide stability and cost certainty in the managed services space. In that next space over, going left to right on my slide there, we have endpoints and devices. CIS has been a long-time supporter of numerous technologies to automate and make much more efficient the way that you manage your endpoints, the way that you manage mobile devices coming into your environment. We work with multiple manufacturers in that space, which is kind of a philosophy at CIS in everything outside of identity. We like to provide multiple solutions and really find the best fit for our clients. In identity, we're particularly behind the Micro Focus solution, which Rob will talk about a little bit more. Unified communications is another very big practice for CIS. We are the leading Mitel partner in the Northeast. We've done a tremendous amount of legacy work with ShoreTel. Those two organizations merged fairly recently, if you're not familiar with that, so we are still partnered with both, but the go-forward focus is, of course, on Mitel. We also do a tremendous amount of work with RingCentral in that space, so again, multiple options for the same VoIP technology, and we provide life-size video conferencing. Moving down to the cloud, which is a huge focus for everyone in the industry these days, obviously. Again, multiple providers. We work with Microsoft, in the Office 365 and Azure space. We work with Google Apps, primarily for clients in the not-for-profit or educational arenas, and we do a lot of work with Amazon Web Services as well. So we can migrate you and your users to the cloud efficiently, successfully. As Office 365 in particular, we've migrated over 500,000 seats to the Office 365 cloud for clients now. So we've gotten very, very good at it. It's a project that we can stamp out very quickly and easily. And our team typically goes above and beyond with some cloud deployments. We integrate and we create customizations that not everybody does. Not all of your out-of-the-box, zero-cost type migrations are going to do that. In the middle there, identity and access management. I'm not going to steal too much of Rob's thunder. He's got a couple slides coming up talking about how good his team is, but you're dealing with the best of the best as far as identity goes, and I'll leave it at that. The last tab there is network security and data communications. We build and design secure, robust networks for large organizations. More importantly, our focus in the security space is on testing. Network security penetration testing, intrusion detection, and very, very importantly, social engineering testing. We do deep, deep dives in penetration testing. We provide a world-class deliverable, and we test your end users. Lately, we've been finding that about 80% of end users on the first test will click whatever link arrives in their email, which should be frightening to everybody who cares about security on this phone call. So we do a lot of work to help that and to help educate end users and to really remediate a lot of security exposures and make sure that you're not getting fined or getting breached. So those are the primary areas of focus for CIS. In all of those different areas, we have tremendous expertise across the client-server space, be it server upgrades, be it collaboration, messaging platforms, virtualization, all of these different technologies. These fall into various parts of this larger umbrella of our practice areas. Next slide real quick, Rob, because what's a technology presentation without some logos? Here are some of the folks we work with. I mentioned a lot of them in my quick little spiel there, but as you can see, all of the major organizations in the industry are partners of CIS. We work with everybody. We design and build projects in everybody's space, and we support all these technologies and many more. So that's us in a quick little nutshell as far as what we do and who we are. I'm going to hand off to Rob Rawson, who, as I said, is the founder of CIS's identity team, and Rob's going to take you through a little bit about our team's expertise.
Well, thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today on this presentation. This is part of a new initiative that we have been putting together for some time. The CIS Miami initiative, which is Managed IAM Infrastructure. We arrived at this after a dozen years of delivering identity projects for CIS, and I had a history prior to that, delivering identity projects for the vendor, and decided that one of the things that tends to be an impetus, or I'm sorry, an impediment to delivering these projects is that we want to be able to spread our knowledge and our expertise out beyond our four walls and be able to include them in our projects, in our clients' environments. And that's what the CIS Miami initiative will be about. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about who CIS is in terms of identity. You've heard a lot about us in terms of what we do in general in more horizontal spaces. I like to think of identity as a narrow niche with a lot of wide adoption. It exists in a lot of different vertical markets because it's widely needed. We at CIS were among some of the earliest adopters of technology, not just myself. I've been working with it since the product was invented, but most of my team has also been early adopters, and I pride myself in the fact that we've built a very, very strong and capable team in the identity space, stronger than I think anyone else worldwide, really. One of the things we pride ourselves on is the focus is not necessarily on the technology. The focus we've had in identity management has been around what is the solution, what are we trying to solve in terms of business challenges, and then how can we apply the technology in clever and strategic ways in order to deliver these solutions. To that end, we're a consulting organization first and foremost, and we started with the methodology. And every good methodology, of course, comes with a swim lane. But our process involves the evaluation of the technical and business requirements and understanding of the kinds of events in your organization, and I mean business events, that you might have to instrument into a process. Things like hires and fires and reorganizations and things of that nature. And then what do you have to do with that information? Do you have to report on it? Do you have to get approvals? And these are the things that we evaluate as we start to deliver identity projects. In addition, we've adopted a test-driven development posture. That means that when we start to develop projects, we don't start writing code. We start writing tests. Sometimes they're written tests, sometimes they're automated tests, but whatever kind they are, we want to know what the goal is before we start actually writing code. We then embrace our open source to deliver a lot of pieces of this solution. So we don't try to reinvent the wheel if we can help avoid it. And we've got a development philosophy around staging where we do insist our clients, where possible and where practical, have both development and test environments available before we run into production. Finally, the last thing and most important part of our methodology is the way we partner with our clients. We don't try to keep our information to ourselves. Our philosophy is, this is your system, you need to own it, and you need to know what's going on. That is a methodology and a process that fits very well into our consulting methodology.
Yeah. Right on. Iowa guy. Or Trump. Originally.
Pardon me, I'm just going to jump on for a second and mute.
Yep, no, I got a very good friend from college who was Charles City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Parsons?
My apologies for that. So one of the other things that we want to talk a little bit about is our expertise and our approach towards using technologies. There are a lot of organizations out there that can implement identity solutions, but they do it basically from a recipe. They follow the typical implementation methodologies. They follow the typical deployment methodologies without truly understanding what the technology can do. We think of ourselves as thought leaders and innovators in terms of the use of this technology. We don't just build it the way it's built because that doesn't apply to everyone. And we try to do things in more efficient and better ways than most. And this was one particular instance, something that I invented called liquid soap. A way of using the SOAP interface to integrate with cloud applications in a way that's much more reusable and allows us to deliver things faster. In fact, liquid SOAP stands for lightweight, quick-deployed SOAP. And it is a way of using the existing SOAP driver from the vendor to deliver SOAP and cloud integration more quickly. Now, that being said, having been deployed to about a dozen different applications for different projects, we have now introduced our own version of driver for liquid soap, so that we are now taking it end to end and are able to deliver an even more secure solution. Well, as I said, one of the things that I pride myself is my team, and the first member of my team after myself was Jeffrey Carmen. Jeff is one of the foremost experts in identity solutions and has literally written the book. In fact, now it's the books. He's got 2 books out on integrating IDM solutions. Jeff is kind of a superstar in the industry. You could see this picture from a conference where he was doing a book signing, and we had lines of people lined up to speak to Jeff and to get their books signed. Jeff's also, in addition to writing books, the author of a lot of Cool Solutions articles. Cool Solutions is a website, you can see the URL on the screen there, where articles are published about various technical topics. The #1 contributor, as you can see on that site, with 90,515 words, is Jeff. The next nearest competitor doesn't work for the vendor either. In fact, I think the first one on that list that works for the vendor is number 7, Alex McHugh. I think he's, at least it was, I believe, a vendor employee. In any event, Jeff is far and above a larger contributor than anyone else is in this. And I asked Jeff, how does he do this? I know Jeff types so quickly, he's actually worn through the keys on his keyboard. But I've realized that what actually is the case is Jeff types so fast he dilates time. You can see I'm also on that list, but I'm only number 6. So enough about the team. Let me just talk a little bit about identity management and access management in general before I lead into the Miami offerings. There are a lot of different technologies in identity management solutions. And what I find is, we have technologies like provisioning and IDM, we have roles-based access control, we have security event management, single sign-on. There's all of these different components, and the truth about this is that they all have a value in almost every organization, and they all have different best users. The people who advocate for IDM, for example, would be administrators typically, because they don't want to have to provision the same thing that the HR department and all of these other systems are administering. The users really like single sign-on. The users want an easy login experience. Auditors like to be able to look at security events and be able to audit them and forensically analyze them. So there's all these different constituents that have a different stake in what needs to be done. The driver is really, though, when it comes down to it, are things like operational efficiency, making sure you're able to deliver solutions quickly, deliver identity quickly, making sure the data is reliable between different integrations, allowing users to do some of the work themselves. Maybe they can make their own requests. Maybe they can reset their own passwords. Of course, compliance has become a huge, huge driver, and that all the regulations that are out there are demanding many, many more controls and many more features to be able to deliver. And of course, mergers and acquisitions and even divestitures are starting to really drive a lot of business. One question I get all the time: IDM has been out for 20 years now. Shouldn't this be out of the box? Shouldn't we be able to just plug this in and it goes? Well, the truth is that every version gets just a little bit closer, but no version will ever get it there all the way. It can't, because everybody's got a different mix of IAM technologies, different connected systems, different applications. Everybody uses their directories in different ways and builds them and structures them differently, and puts different data in them and puts different data in different fields. It's really, the bottom line is that no two environments are really alike. If they were, you wouldn't really need IAM. Now, the challenges we see, and this is near and dear to my heart because I want to deliver more IAM solutions, is that there's very inconsistent and not well understood business processes surrounding identity in most organizations. Some organizations are very, very well, understand the problem very well, but many don't. Many have inconsistent ways of identifying users, inconsistent ways of deciding who would approve access. Other challenges include just the complexity of environments, the desire to not have to staff up someone to focus exclusively on identity, or at least part-time on identity. Maybe this isn't the highest priority. There's other priorities out there, but they know it's important, but it's not the top priority. And then the other question that comes up all the time is, well, why can't I just move everything to the cloud? And the truth is, you can move a lot of things to the cloud. The cloud's great. You can reduce your cost of ownership. You can have a more enterprise-like position. Even though you might be a smaller business, it's maybe easier to comply with regulations. You get to not have to run your own servers, so you don't need all that complex, technical expertise out there to deal with that complexity. But the question becomes, if you're doing an IDM solution, is it going to be secure living out in the cloud? And the truth is, it will be secure, but you want to be careful about what you put in the cloud and what you don't. And I'll take a side trip for 2 seconds and explain what I mean. You can synchronize identity management information from your premise into the cloud, and that's great. And some people will do that, and they'll synchronize their passwords over. And they're like, well, okay, so the password in the cloud is the same as my password inside. If that cloud application that you're not in control of gets compromised, your internal passwords just got compromised. So that's not the way to secure yourself in the cloud. There are other technologies that we recommend and that we implement for that purpose using federation. But you really don't rely on the cloud as the place for your crown jewels. You don't put your passwords in the cloud. You still going to have that in your premise. And there are other things that are going to stay in your premise, or at least be in your premise for the meantime. And so the best way is for us to maybe help manage your environment, your premise environment, from the cloud for you without taking your secure data out of it. And that is the approach that really fits the cloud for identity. So now, what is CIS Miami? Other than a clever marketing name that I came up with, it is us deepening our partnerships with our clients. We've been deployers, we've been designers, we've been architects. We provide support, but we are now moving our operations and strategy into the client space as well, being able to integrate and provide clients with a partner that can be involved 100% of the time with their environment. The advantages of using an MSP for an IAM solution are a multitude of different advantages here. Certainly, we have some skills that might be maybe a little more specific to IAM than most organizations would. This allows you to, as a smaller organization, be able to take advantage of IAM solutions. Maybe IAM is embedded in your organization, but it's mission critical, and you'd like to have a partner who could answer questions quickly and identify problems quickly. Another very key element here is cost certainty. Having an IAM solution with cost certainty allows us to deliver and you to predict your budgets and deliver IAM solutions. We have an abundance of resources that can bring to bear on all of these solutions. So the IAM practice at CIS has been strategic consulting and architecture and design and support and deployment and do upgrades. And the idea of Miami was to give you all of that and the opportunity to make it cost certain so that you can budget for a solution that would be available to you year-round. In addition to that, Miami adds the ability to bring CIS in to do operational support, day-to-day system operations, day-to-day administration tasks even, to provide scheduled reviews to your environment to make sure it's kept up to date, and to provide ongoing monitoring. And so the offerings are really broken into 4 areas: CIS Miami Monitor, Run, Update, and Consult. And I'm going to speak about each of those in a little bit of detail. Now, if you've been doing IT for a while, you know what a network monitoring capabilities are. Typically, you might have operating system health and application health monitoring, where you're monitoring the amount of memory, the amount of CPU utilization, typical things that all servers are going to need to be watched on. And there are other services that need to be watched in addition to that if you're delivering a service that's going to be dependent on other components. For example, you might have routers or firewalls or databases or directory services. All of those components need to be watched. And this is complicated enough if you're simply delivering an application over a web browser. But when you start to turn it into an IAM solution, by its nature, this becomes more complex, because IAM's purpose in life is to integrate many, many different things into a unified system. There's many, many more components to keep your eyes on. Now, for example, one of the things that we will monitor is simply the status of your connections to your connected systems, the driver status. If a driver goes down for some reason or is left down by accident, you want to know that. Otherwise, people are not going to start seeing things synchronized as you expect. You want to keep an eye on directory health. You want to keep an eye on the availability of the systems you're connecting to. And this is really the key distinguishing factor between IAM monitoring and other monitoring. Not only are we monitoring our service, we need to monitor to the things it connects to, whether it's an on-premise application, an on-premise directory, or a cloud service. Those go down too from time to time. So you want to make sure that when somebody calls you up and says, I can't log into Concur Expense, you know whether it's Concur Expense or it's your Federation technology. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of components, from credentials to certificates to all of these things that could get changed by an outside actor or just expire, that you need to keep an eye on in terms of an IAM solution. So this goes beyond what you would normally monitor. The way that we deliver CIS Miami Monitor is that we will identify what are the services that you need in your particular environment to monitor to keep your solution operating. It could include the platform operating systems. It could include your identity applications. It could be certain connected systems. Maybe there's some security monitoring. Maybe there's other things that we aren't thinking of here that we haven't called out on this particular slide. There's lots of things we could be monitoring, so we'll need to do an evaluation and figure out exactly what you guys need to monitor. And then from that, we determine what do we do with that information. Now, we can do really 2 main things. If you just want to engage CIS for CIS Miami Monitor, we will send you a notification that we detected an anomaly, and it's up to you to respond to it. And there's lots of clients who will find this very valuable, because they now have a unified monitoring solution that says, okay, there's something for me to look at. I know what the problem is now. When the help desk calls, tell them Concur is down. Or the help desk calls, tell them we're down, we're working on the problem. And you'll be able to respond in an accurate and rapid manner. If you engage CIS for a higher level of Miami services, we will forward these alerts to our own service desk. And this is where Miami Run comes into play. Miami Run is CIS helping you run your environment. We can take different levels of responsibility here, and it's kind of counterintuitive, because level 1 is the lowest level that requires the greatest amount of our participation. The higher you go up this, level 1, 2, and 3, The less activity CIS will perform, but the higher skills we'll offer as well. So level 1 is basic administrative support, and some clients would like us to do everything, you know, create users, and other clients, and a more common use case here is that there might be some complex administrative actions that need a human being to do, but require multiple steps and interactions and things. You just like to offload that to CIS. Level 2 is more operational, where day-to-day you want somebody to make sure drivers are up, things are being watched, when something happens, investigate and resolve, etc. Level 3 is for organizations that have an IAM group already in place, and they want to have someone to just bounce ideas from or call for escalation or ask for advice. And finally, the highest level of support, and we've done this for several clients, is to actually provide staff augmentation, the ability to actually deliver a member of CIS's team as a part of your staff. We work with our service desk software, but if you prefer, we'll also work with your service desk software. We could do both or one or the other. So we have clients that are using ServiceNow, clients using Remedy, or they could work with our service instant response systems. And of course, any Miami Run engagement will include an SLA, which will determine our response times. And we also do provide monitoring for that, and we'll provide compliance reporting. Another area which has a lot of needs behind it within the IAM space is what we call Miami Update. Update is the ability to watch and maintain the environments. The challenges with IAM solutions is they change frequently and they are updated frequently because they live out in a world with a lot of other applications, and therefore they need to be kept up to date so that they're not vulnerable to issues out in the world. So we have 2 levels of update that we offer: Update Review and Update Patch. Review is a quarterly report that looks at all of the components involved in your IAM solution. We identify what is the current version that's running, what is the most current version from the vendor, how long does the current version have vendor support, full vendor support. We do this on a quarterly basis and provide you a report which you can then decide what to do with. And if you feel like you need to do an upgrade, you could upgrade it yourself, or you can contact us for services to do an upgrade. A second level and slightly higher level of Miami Update is Update Patch. An Update Patch will do monthly updates of your platform operating systems and quarterly updates to your IAM products across all of the versions, all the stages that you've deployed, development, test, and production, in a controlled manner, doing the dev environment first, waiting a week or so, making sure everything is good, doing the test environment, et cetera, and finally doing production. This allows you to kind of sit back and let things be upgraded. Now, the only thing we do not include with Update Patch is we do not do full major version upgrades. And the main reason for that is that they're not as predictable as patches would be. Now, we would consider that as a possibility, but we didn't want to make that a standard offering at this point, because we can't really predict how long a different upgrade will take when the vendors haven't released the updates yet. The final area of CIS Miami I want to speak about is what we call Miami Consult. And this is really leveraging CIS's strategic expertise as a partner to be a member of the decision-making and evaluating teams at our company, at our organizational clients. Things that we would do would include participation in your internal steering committee meetings. We might help you evaluate new requirements. We'll organize product updates from the vendor, things of that nature that would help you decide what direction to take your IAM solution. And so that's the Miami, that is the entire Miami offering. So I'm going to turn the time back to Terry to wrap it up, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers.
Thanks, Rob. So great job there. Appreciate it. And it was a very detailed presentation, and I hope everybody on the line appreciated it and got a lot out of it. Just want to, excuse me, just to reiterate, in conclusion, once again, it's all about the client. That is CIS's focus, be it in the identity space or any of our other practice areas that we touched on. We really strive to become partners with our clients and really, work toward a common goal of a very high quality technology and mutually beneficial relationship over a long term. We have clients that are with us for the entirety of our 23-year history. Something that we didn't have a slide for, but we really pride ourselves on is year over year throughout those 23 years, we've brought back 90+% of our clients. So I don't care if you're running a restaurant or a dry cleaner, anything in the service industry, if you're bringing clients back at that level, you've figured out the secret sauce and you're doing things right. And that's really what CIS brings to the table. As a salesperson, I'm lucky to work with high-quality engineers like Rob and like Jeff and the rest of our teams in all of our spaces. So our team in identity, of course, is world-renowned, and hopefully we can leverage some of these solutions in Miami that we're presenting with Miami to really help you guys make your environments more efficient, more cost-effective, and just run smoothly and provide an expert hand on the rudder with alongside your team. So with that, just thank you very much again for everybody that was able to attend and stuck with us through the whole thing.